Hi, so we are on week 13 and I am going to do a quick review of the cards that I've pulled this week and how I feel like these intuitive card pulls are helpful in me kind of gauging where I am in a day. As a reminder, I listen to a quick meditation in the morning and then I pull a card and then I journal for a few minutes as part of my routine of getting kind of in the flow with self and spirit before the day kind of launches and begins. And I often do this while I'm still in bed. Right when you wake up, you can be a little bit more sensitive to the things that are kind of lying under the surface in your subconscious because you've just been in that dream state. And so it's the perfect time to really check in with spirit, with self, and really just quiet yourself before you launch into the day. So for this week, I was really excited to pull some cards, and one of the things I wanted to pull out, I pulled a lot, but I'm only going to share a few, was that the word fear keeps coming up for me. And so I think I want to go into that a little bit more in general in terms of the way that we live, the way that we choose to believe and see the world, the way we communicate with one another. Because when we think about the idea of fear, it's not just fear of a spider, right? It can be that. But for someone like me who has anxiety and depression, there are a lot of fears that I sometimes even wake up in the middle of the night with and then ruminate, which means you're thinking in kind of a circular pattern and being unable to get out of that for a while until I find a way to fall asleep again. And then the next morning, it's kind of relieved in some way, but then it happens again in the middle of the night. And so when I'm thinking about this idea of fear, I'm thinking of it more on this like lying beneath the surface that affects my overall state of well-being, especially in my mental health in terms of anxiety. Obviously, anxiety has increased in general in people over the last year or so due to the pandemic. We're finding that there's a lot of just fears under the surface, and then often they come out in these ways that are really emotionally irregulated. They're projecting our feeling states onto someone else instead of us being able to kind of understand it on a deeper level and navigate that. So in terms of my work as an art therapist, working with those with fears, depressions, anxieties, it's usually a combination of things, using mindfulness techniques, any kind of self-regulation pieces. We were working on increasing that, and self-awareness. And so when we look at our cards, it often is a way for me to find some self-awareness for the day. I also want to state that like when you pull a card like this, or even when you in any way in life, when some symbol or message comes to you, you have the ability to say no to that. Like, ooh, that's great, but that doesn't really align with what I am feeling today. And that's okay too. I have found that has not been the case with these cards most of the time, especially when I pull them right after I wake up. I feel pretty aligned with the message. And the other piece to that is, why am I saying no? Because sometimes we say no out of protection for self, but it does not necessarily mean that it isn't applicable for you. It might actually be a hard yes, and we're just, again, afraid of that message. So kind of sinking a little bit deeper, becoming a little more honest with self in those moments. Why am I saying no? Why is my body saying no? Why do I have such a reaction? Not even having to talk to anyone else about that, but just having a dialogue with yourself around why that might be. As for my cards for this week, I've pulled from a few different, I started with this great card deck. It's so beautiful. It's like got this metallic on it, This is the other side. And I love the circular shape too. And this deck does talk about like if things are upside down or reversed, like what that means. But this one is the World. Achieve fulfillment. The description, it says freedom, travel, fulfillment, birth. So it's a really beautiful card and a beautiful message. We're about to take a trip this week to travel to celebrate our 10-year wedding anniversary. So we're traveling down the coast. So we are traveling. I think we are feeling a bit more fulfilled and free in our lives as we have settled into a year of being in Seattle. And birth. So we've both birthed, me and my husband, our own companies in a lot of ways this year, and also a new life, a completely new lifestyle from when we lived in New York City. We've kind of birthed that into being this year. And of course, there's another meaning for birth that we're hopeful about, is one day being able to have kids and that actual physical birth. And so this card was a little bit of a hopeful reminder for me. So this is such a powerful, beautiful message that to me encompasses some of the full year. This circle. We're coming back to a year. We're signing our lease again in a couple of weeks, and so full circle, celebrating this year. And I might keep it out as a visual reminder that things are going all right. And then I pulled from the Rider Tarot and pulled 2 pentacles, so 2 different ones, but right next to each other. And the one is 9, and that is success and abundance. And then today I actually pulled from Matt Kahn's deck, and it is also an abundant theme. So I love when these synchronicities happen. And his deck says, abundance is my birthright and I receive it now. That's a beautiful mantra if you all want to repeat that. Abundance is my birthright and I receive it now. Abundance is my birthright and I receive it now. So these 2 kind of match one another. And then the other pentacles is 8. And it's money, business, bartering, and I think for both David and I right now, there's a lot going on in terms of like our businesses. How do we do business? You know, I'm offering sliding scale right now, and I'm trying to determine then how do I work with people and also make enough money to live. And so there's a bit of money bartering kind of thing happening. Also, I want to charge enough that they're investing in something. Because I think, I even thought about this week. I've been signing up for a lot of online trainings, and then if they're free, then I feel less inclined to go sometimes. I'm like, I'll get the free recording, which we never watch, right? Really thinking about that idea of what is it worth to you? If I, as a client, am investing some of my own money and resources into my own healing and self-awareness, then I will be more willing to show up too. And so there's a bit of bartering that happens when we think about our businesses and what we are here to offer the world. So those are just a few cards that I thought were really great. I also pulled one last one, which is kind of our intro to our 6th chakra that we will be going into this week. And it is activating the 3rd eye, and that is our 6th chakra. And it says, I am willing to see beyond my beliefs, ideas, and conclusions. And so with this card too, and then I pulled this one too, it says, deconstructing doubt, only my beliefs are in the way. It really comes back to that idea of fear to me. We create the things that we are fearful about. And we can then deconstruct it as well and reframe it and have power over it and make different choices. What is it that we are fearing? How are we reacting against it? And then when I think about the 3rd eye, sometimes it's that our intuition tells us something just isn't right. And how do we honor that message? I look forward to hearing your journey with fear, with overcoming fears, and maybe even with the self-awareness that can come from a tool like pulling a card. So I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you soon.